Hey, we're back. Got Dick Grob with me again today, and we're going to talk about a few more things. Dick had another question that they had asked about what y'all did to prepare for tours, what you did on the tours, as far as getting things ready for Rivers, y'all's, the security, the whole shebang. So
Well, and that really is a very interesting question because people think Elvis just went on stage and sang his songs, did his music, and left. And that never happened that way. Uh, the promoters would book cities, and we would then travel to each city, check out the airports, check out the hotel, check out the arenas, so we knew what time it was that it took to drive from the airport to the hotel, from the hotel to the arena, where you were going to park in the arena. All those things were taken into consideration. And that would happen 2 or 3 weeks before the actual tour started.
right.
And then when we got to the city on the tour, everything was reconfirmed to make sure there wasn't, you know, a hole dug in the road that would mean we'd have to detour to go from the hotel to the arena. So all of that, and you knew how high the stage was going to be. So we could tell Elvis, you want to stay away from the edge of the stage because it's only 3 feet, and people can grab you.
Right, and I think that's what people actually, don't know that's wanting to know those certain things. So
Right, and if it was 8 feet, we'd tell them, be careful that you don't fall off the front of the stage. Because you got to remember, Elvis had spotlights in his eyes all the time when he was on there. He was sweating. Perspiration would run down his, and if you look at him carefully sometimes, you can see he's singing and moving around with his eyes closed, just because of that. And it was like, okay, when he started out, that first number was always the start number. The last number was when he said he was ready to go home. And that was always the same. So everybody knew we were going after that. And then we didn't stop. There was no going backstage and into a dressing room.
No.
Was in the limousine or bus or whatever and out the door. And we kind of had a working time thing of 45 seconds to get Elvis off stage, into the limo, and out the door. And on to back to the hotel or the airport or wherever we were going after that. But it was a complicated, consuming thing that was checked every time, every way, and nothing was always the same.
Yeah. Another question that I had, I was going to ask you too, that they've asked several people, but they had asked about you too. Noticing a lot of times you'd be the one that would walk Elvis up on the stage or to the steps of the stage, to get him on stage and all. And like before that, they had asked did he ever say anything to you, or did you ever say anything to him, or maybe not always a routine thing, but maybe just something kind of special. That was just a question that they had asked.
No, not really. Not getting on the stage. Almost every time coming off the stage, either right then as he was stepping off the stage or in the car as we were leaving, it was always, how was the show? Was it good? Did the fans, was the sound good? He was always concerned about the fans.
Yes.
Did the sound go right on the fan? Because he heard different sound on stage than what the audience heard in the house. And he was very, very concerned about that. And if there was feedback, feedback, he'd stop everything and say, the other thing that was funny is, let's just say that James Burton, his lead guitarist, hit a bad note. Now, 15,000 people in the audience didn't know that one bad note was hit.
Right.
Elvis heard it. And he would stop the show right then, not to blame, or cause any problems with, say, James Burton, but just so that he could give his audience a perfect show.
You're absolutely right, and we've heard that many times, especially in some of the recordings and stuff of where he's telling them to pick it up or do this or do that. So you're absolutely right on that. Another thing I want to ask you, we had been sitting around talking, and you had brought up a good story, I thought, about the Lisa Marie, and if you would.
The Lisa Marie and the story we were talking about, and I know you would laugh at it because you understood Elvis. When Elvis bought the Lisa Marie, they got a flight crew that Elvis had never met. Vernon had hired him. No background had been done. It took me 2 weeks later to get the background done on him for Elvis. But when the crew got there and the plane got to Memphis, he wanted to take everybody for a ride around Memphis. So we go out there, and he walks up the steps, and Elwood David, the pilot, introduces himself to Elvis, shakes hands with him, introduces Ron Strauss, the co-pilot, and Jim Manny, the engineer, and Carol Bouquier, the stewardess, to Elvis. And they're all saying hello and back and forth, and Elwood David, the pilot, says, "Elvis, would you like to sit on a jump seat here?" Which was right behind the pilot's seat. Elvis said, "Oh yeah, I'll sit there." And he was, this was going to be his first flight in his airplane.
Right.
And they get him strapped in there, and they're strapped in, and Elwood looks over at the co-pilot sitting on his right, and he said, "Ron, have you got the book on how to start this thing?" And you could just kind of see this face with Elvis kind of start to whiten, They pull out this book and start flipping pages, and they start reaching up and flipping switches, and alarms are going off, red lights are flashing everywhere. And finally, Elvis says, I'm going back to my bedroom in the back of the plane. He said, he's going by me. He says, "Dick, you sit there. You know about flying. You sit there and see that they're going right."
Yeah, that's right. And like you told him though, that hey, he will get them back.
Oh yeah, and they said when I was talking to him, they said, "We still have a job." I said, "You still got a job, but trust me, Elvis will get you back for doing this," because he had a humor.
Yes, he did.
You know that.
Great stories. Something that I want to ask you too, because we're here in Tupelo for the 2019 Tupelo Fest, and Dick's of course down here, and he's going to be your judging on the.
I'm one of the judges on the yes.
Tribute artist, and you had mentioned that I didn't know. You've got is it a new book or?
Well, yeah, I have a new book out. It's been out close to a year now, called Elvis, Safe and Sound. Me being the safety, him being the sound on the thing.
Right.
Elvis and I had an agreement. He heard me sing one time, and he said, "Dick, if you will promise never to sing on my stage, I will never fool with security." We got along fine after that.
Well, good. Yeah, I just wanted to mention that, and if you hadn't or didn't know about it, hey, and you're going to be down around here in Tupelo or even not, I'll find out the information of how to contact you. You can either contact me, and I can get you through Dick, but you can check out his book. With that being said, hey, we're going to move on to another day, and hopefully we'll have some more stories down the road for you. But what do we always say? We always live well.